Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Geek World Radio. We're back from a bit of a long hiatus because, well, we just haven't had time to do a show. But some news came out that we absolutely had to talk about because it is Star Trek news.
I know, it's really exciting, Anime. You know, they've been talking about this for a while. They're going to make Star Trek 3 at some point, but they still need a director, they still need a start date, but there's a lot of new, interesting news, and some of it's rumor, actually a lot of it's rumor, but it's good rumor, and so we're going to talk about it. Alright, so the first thing is that Zachary Quinto did an interview, and he said that they might start shooting the next Star Trek movie in 6 months.
Yeah.
Now that in itself is very exciting. And also, it seems like that there's an inside source that says February 15th of 2015 might be that day.
Yeah, now the rumor has been that Roberto Orci is going to be directing. Now, you don't know him as a director because, well, he hasn't directed anything.
Nothing.
But you know him as a writer.
Yes.
He usually works with Alex Kurtzman. The two of them have written some of the big blockbuster movies of the past many, many, many summers and years.
Yeah, I mean, they wrote Transformers, they wrote both Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness, they even wrote the last Spider-Man movie and Fringe, and it just goes on and on and on. The talented guys, but you know what? They've broken apart. Alex Kurtzman's going to go do Venom, and now Orci's like, I want to direct a movie too. And you know, that's been a sticking point for both of us for a while. We're like, listen, we get it that he's a great writer and that he loves Star Trek and that's amazing and everything, but a guy who's never even directed like a YouTube video, all of a sudden is going to direct one of the biggest franchises of all time is a little weird.
Yeah, you know, I'd like to hold out hope. You know, I'd like to hope that because he's such a fan of Star Trek and because he has spent so much time on set and because the people that have worked with him seem to really like him, I think that at least bodes well in certain ways. Now, again, it's scary to have somebody that is not proven as a director to take on something that we love so much.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not going to be judgmental and be like, he can't do it, because we've seen great things out of directors that have never directed big-budget movies before.
Yeah, like William Shatner directing Final Frontier.
No.
No, that wasn't a good one.
What does God need with a starship?
Simon Pegg actually did an interview a while ago saying that it totally makes sense that Bob, as he calls him, Bob Orci, is going to direct it, because he's the real main, like, Trek fan of the guys who were working on it previously, and so he has his endorsement, and that's pretty cool to have Simon Pegg's endorsement. You know, Orci is so serious about directing this movie that he's already cut ties off with executive producing the new Power Rangers movie that he's supposed to executive produce, so he's done with that, so that's one sign that he's totally dedicated.
I like knowing that he is really focused on Star Trek. If that's what he's doing, that's what I want him to be focused on.
Heck yeah. And also on top of that, apparently he's already sent a first version of the script to Paramount. Apparently rumors say that they're pleased with it. And on top of that, it seems like that this story, if you believe the rumors, takes place many years after Into Darkness. They're in the middle of their 5-year mission from the original series, and the idea is that it's going to be kind of a standalone episode in the middle of that time period, and we will no longer be at Earth all the time. Now they're finally going to be out in space, doing space stuff.
Now this is one of the rumors that seems to be slightly more than rumor. It seems to be all but confirmed.
Exactly.
You know? It's like the only thing now that needs to happen is for the studio to go, we absolutely confirm that, you know, which they don't exactly do.
Yeah, no, not really. So I think really what's left then is who are the villains going to be? Because the villains are probably going to have a lot to do with what the main story is. So really the first Star Trek was to set up the idea of a reboot.
Yeah.
And a reboot in a timeline, and they had these guys from these Romulans from the future, from the Star Trek we already know, and they came back in time and changed everything. And so that sort of set up the reboot, and they had these evil Romulans with basically the Death Star.
Yeah, now despite the fact that they are future Romulans, they are still Romulans.
Yes.
So for me, I don't think that the Romulans are going to be a main bad guy in this third movie. Is it possible? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially because the supposed 3 favorite alien villains of Roberto Orci are the Romulans, the Gorn, and the Tribbles.
The Tribbles, yes. I didn't really think of them as villains, though.
Whatever. They are the Klingons' greatest foe.
They are detestable creatures. They were once considered mortal enemies of the Klingon Empire.
This?
Speaking of Klingons, though, I really like how they introduce the Klingons in Into Darkness.
Yeah.
And I kind of hope the Klingons are the main villain of this movie. I mean, there's a long tradition of the Klingons being the big bads. I mean, ever since Star Trek 3, they've been, really Kirk's main adversary. I mean, if Picard's main alien adversary are the Borg, it would definitely be the Klingons for Kirk. And so I think they can do some really cool things with the Klingons. And not only that, I started doing some other research with some of the other villains from the original series.
Yeah.
And how cool would it be if they did a movie where they took the Doomsday Machine, that sort of Galactus-type Death Star-type thing for the original series, and the Klingons somehow found a way to control it, and we're trying to, take over the universe. Because, that's their thing. They're all about war.
Yeah, the thing is that I think that the Klingons are absolutely a possibility.
Yeah.
But if they are actually going with something more of a standalone episode, I think it would be really smart to do something like the Doomsday Device, like V'ger.
Yes.
Something that is totally out of the space of what they've done in the past.
They're not going to do V'ger, though.
I don't know.
V'ger,
No.
that is a very unpopular movie.
I agree. I don't believe that they are actually going to go through with doing that. I think that would be too worrisome for them to do.
Yes.
But I'm saying that I don't think it would be a bad idea for them to do something totally different, something that doesn't have to do with any of the type of aliens that we've seen before in this reboot.
Yeah.
I think that they will likely have some elements of old standbys. I think it's possible that at least part of it will have somebody fighting a Gorn.
Yeah, I think a Gorn, I think they have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they don't, obviously I don't think they're going to do Arena. That would be too weird
No.
for, its own movie. But at least a scene... But also an army of Gorns would be cool. It doesn't just have
That's
to
true.
be the Gorn leader, the Gorn captain. It could be an army of Gorn. That would be amazing.
If they did Arena, it would be all Kirk all the time. To
Yeah.
hell with the rest of the crew.
Exactly. That wouldn't be so good. That would be like Star Trek Generations.
Yeah.
That was pretty much what that was.
Just who the hell are you?
He's James T. Kirk. Don't you read history?
But, there's some other cool villains. What about the Horta? You can be that weird, rug thing that's all gross and burns people and stuff, and it just wants a place for its babies.
Yeah, that's one of those interesting ones, and one of those that, again, feels nothing like the aliens that we've dealt with before. Nothing like people that are of war,
Yes.
The whole point of it, like you said, it was essentially just protecting its young. It didn't have any malice towards any of the people that it killed. It was literally just trying to protect itself and its babies.
Now, let me ask you this, Anime. We could go through the list of all the best, villains and stuff in the original series. I mean, we could talk on about the Mirror Universe, which I know from the new Star Trek show, a lot of the people in the comments wanted a Mirror Universe type thing.
Well, it's one of those
people love the Mirror Universe.
It's one of those funny things where people hate the episode, but love evil Kirk and even more evil Spock.
I think it's just the goatee, isn't it?
Well,
it's just the
certainly
facial
helps.
hair. Yeah. Could they do something like, for instance, the Q continuum?
I would not...
I mean, just because... The thing is, they've now rebooted the universe.
Right.
And so they could theoretically do anything they want. Or, not only the Q continuum, but what if they did, the birth of the Borg?
Okay, well, the Borg are something that humanity was never supposed to encounter until, way beyond when even Next Generation was. Q screwed that all up.
Though they did change it for Enterprise... But in the end of the day, Q messed it all up, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, the fact is that really they shouldn't.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have anything to do with the Borg.
Yeah.
Could they? Yeah, I guess, and you could justify it with the fact that the universe has changed.
Yeah, and they could fall through a wormhole and end up all the way on the other side of the galaxy where the Borg are.
But I think that's sort of a dangerous road to go down, and I think it would make more people angry than anything else.
Now, let me ask you, do you think that, I think part of the problem with Into Darkness is that everyone knew it was Khan, and they wouldn't say it was Khan.
A smoke screen to conceal my true identity. My name is Khan.
Can they make an original character? Can they make an original villain? Or do you think that they're going to want to stick with the races of aliens and these characters that they're used to already?
Well, again, I think that what they can do is have a small part of it where they do have a Gorn or something else, and then if they wanted to, they could create a new alien or have some other godlike creature or something else, I think the main thing, first off, is for them not to lie to the audience.
Yeah.
Because that, it wasn't just that they wouldn't confirm that it was Khan, they literally said, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's definitely not Khan.
And so, when people saw it, we're like, yeah, we knew, screw you.
I know, yeah.
So, I think the main thing is not to lie to your audience, and you know, it's not a bad thing to have characters we know or species we know, but it's also not necessarily a bad thing to have aliens we don't. There's an infinite universe out there. Why not?
Exactly. I feel like most episodes of the first original series were either aliens that had god powers, like Q-type aliens, or they were the aliens that had mind control, telekinesis, and could basically force them to do whatever they want, like that amazing scene where Kirk gets ridden like a horse. Alright, so let's move on for the villains for a second. One of the other really interesting things in the rumors is that apparently Orci is going to make the characters of the movie a little closer to what they were like in the actual original series. Now that's interesting. I guess mostly that would be sort of Spock being less sort of angry Spock, and Kirk being a little less like crazy guy, maybe a tad more stoic. I mean, Kirk was cool, but Kirk was very like, he was very Joe Friday in some moments of Star Trek, and then he would make that flip where he'd be fun for a second, but he was like the boss.
Yeah.
There's a false entry in the log right now which doesn't jive with the established facts. How do you explain that?
I can't.
He acted like the boss, and I don't think Chris Pine's Kirk has yet to really act like the boss.
It's true, but also the relationships will have formed at this point.
Yeah.
You know, Kirk and Spock, their friendship clearly had bloomed by the second one. You know, but I think by this third one now, they have really probably found their groove. I think that all of the relationships are going to be much more solid.
When you look at the first two movies that they created with Abrams and company, I think Scotty and Bones, I think, were the two closest to the original movie characters. It would check off pretty close also.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, I think definitely Kirk and Spock were very different. And I think, you know, it is time for Kirk to be a little more mature. I always felt like the first two movies, he was basically like Steve Guttenberg in Police Academy.
Yeah.
You know, he was the cool guy running stuff, but he only took kind of part of the responsibility, and that was kind of the theme of the second movie, right?
Yeah.
Was him taking responsibility for everyone's lives.
So the team is going to be more like they were in the show.
Yeah.
But one thing that I hope is not like it was in the show is the fact that Uhura was never a part of the away team on the show. Now, she has been in the movie.
Yeah.
But the fact is that we have a language expert. Seems like the logical thing to do, as they showed in Into Darkness when she spoke to the Klingons, is to have her be on the away team to speak to, well, aliens that speak other languages, because she is the one who is most likely to be able to figure out what they're saying.
But, you know, guys, there are a few things left to remember. First off, Bob Orci has yet to be confirmed as the director. Well, obviously, he's the writer, but they haven't confirmed that. Also, Paramount has not officially greenlit Star Trek 3. Not quite yet. They need to make sure the budget is finalized before they do that, though. They are doing previs, and, of course, they already have what appears to be a first run at the script.
But it does make sense that they want to bring it out in 2016, because that coincides with the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, which would be a really smart thing for them to do.
Totally. All right, Anime, there's one more really exciting rumor, and that's the fact that it looks like there might be a scene in the new Star Trek movie where William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy will reprise their roles as Kirk and Spock.
That's exciting. I can't wait to see what they do, how they make that happen.
Shatner was supposed to be in the last Star Trek, but his part got written out. But apparently this is an integral scene in the movie and might actually survive rewrite. So that's super exciting. Okay, guys, that's about it. I know for me personally, I would love to see the Klingons as the main villain of this new movie. I love the fact that came in on Into Darkness. I love their new look. They're really cool. And it would be so awesome if they somehow teamed up with a Doomsday Machine, was trying to take down the universe or far galaxies on. That would be amazing.
I mean, first off, that would be tough to team up with the Doomsday Machine.
Well,
you can't really team up with it.
They'd have to conquer it.
Yeah. Well,
they can point it in the direction they want.
Well, the fact is that if it is the Klingons, I would like Scotty to take them out with tribbles.
Yes.
That's the best way.
That would be really cool.
But for me, I just really want it to feel a lot different than the past movies. You know, I want it to be something different, something that feels more like the old TV show. You know, give us something that we haven't experienced in a long time. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
I think that the Doomsday device could definitely be a part of that. The Klingons could obviously be a great thing to have, but I would like to see something that feels way different than the other movies.
Totally. Okay, guys, it's question time. Do you think Roberto Orci is the right guy to direct this movie, or do you think someone else should direct Star Trek 3? Let us know in the comments down below. And not only that, who should the villain of the movie be, huh? We need to know. And hey, who knows? Maybe it'll be somebody that we didn't even think of. Maybe it'll be the monster from the Man Trap. That would be interesting. Either way, thanks so much for watching. If you want to listen to our radio show, we're on every week on Indie 100 and The Point.
And if you want to get in touch with us, you can send us an email to geekworldradio@yahoo.com, and be sure to check out our website, geekworldradio.com.
I got it! It should be those aliens from the original series that are like hippies that sing songs and totally made the whole... Wait!